All right, you guys, it is that time of the week again to go through the comment section of the latest chapter of One Piece. So that being said, my name is Sai, and let's get right to it. So the first comment says, Nami, in the first 3 chapters of Elbaf, cooked multiple giant animals, quickly memorized the map to guide the Straw Hats out of Legoland, and one-tapped the Sun God casually, so that they could escape. She's low-key carrying the squad right now. And I agree. And not to mention, but Nami also had a really interesting facial expression last chapter, which is something I don't typically point out, but I did find that interesting. Like, I looked at this and I was like, wait, Oda's never done this face before. Like, this is brand new. It's unique. And I was like, wow, like, Oda, as an artist, even after 27 years of having a successful manga, is still evolving, which could explain why Oda is taking 2 weeks off, which, if you guys don't know, after chapter 1130, there will be a 2-week break from One Piece. I would argue it is better than having a 6-month break like the anime, but then again, as far as the anime news go, if you guys don't know, the anime will be taking a hiatus from Egghead Island and instead be revamping and revisiting the Fishman Island arc instead, which could be seen as a bummer, you know, it always is, but of course, we gotta give the animators time to cook up some great Egghead Island scenes, and also, when it comes to Fishman Island, it will be completely revamped. Instead of Fishman Island having the original 58 episode length, Toei is going to cut it down to 21 episodes. It's getting a brand new soundtrack. It's also getting brand new visuals as well. Brand new Haki stuff. It's going to be absolutely insane. So even though the anime is taking a break for 6 months from Egghead, we're still eating pretty damn good in my opinion. Which also kind of validates One Piece in a way, right? Like in a weird sense, it's like, wait, even Toei acknowledges that maybe Fishman Island didn't have to be that long in the anime, and that there is a lot of fluff that they can cut out. And I'm actually interested now to see what they do cut out and what they leave in comparison. So just in case you guys didn't know that was happening, there you go. Going back to the comment, yes, Nami has been the MVP here on Elbaf thus far. I put quotation marks just in case we're not there, but yes, in these past 3 chapters, Nami has been phenomenal. She's cooking people, she's guiding the Straw Hats, and she's also providing some A-tier comedy. And maybe this is presumptuous of me to say, but as much as I feel like this will be Usopp's arc, you know, Elbaf, I feel like Nami might also get a lot of time, mainly because whenever it comes to the Giants, Nami has had weird interactions with their culture, if that makes sense. You know, back in Little Garden, she didn't understand why Dory and Brogy were fighting, and then coming here to Elbaf, or wherever the hell we are, Nami was also still wondering what the hell was going on with Dory and Brogy, and why Elbaf warriors have a crazy tendency to just always fight. So I do wonder if there will be some Nami developments as we leave this arc, right? Maybe she'll come to understand and appreciate the culture of the Elbaf warriors, or maybe she'll stay the same and this is just one big gag. Either way though, I've already mentioned this before in previous videos, but Oda, he did say that if Nami was from anywhere in the world, she'd be from Sweden, which is a Nordic country. So I think there will be some Nami stuff here, right? Doesn't have to be like a power-up per se, but I just think a character development moment would be pretty huge and unexpected, but also very welcomed. All right, so this comment says, Rodo is racist. Sai turns into Hulk Hogan. Brother. Hey, it takes one to know one, and when I look at Rodo, like I said, in terms of One Piece, I see a kindred spirit, right? I hate giants, this giant hates humans. It goes both ways, and, you know, I kind of respect it in a weird way. So, this comment says, Rodo has 1,000 bottles of sleeping gas in his house. P. Rodo strikes again. I saw one comment. I forgot where I was, but I was just walking. I think I was in like Target or Walmart or something. And my phone lights up whenever I get a notification or a comment on YouTube. And sometimes I look down, and this time, I remember I busted up laughing because somebody commented, ain't no party like a Rodo party. And I've heard that before. Like, people have commented that multiple times at this point, but sometimes that comment does just catch me a little bit off guard. Imagine Emu 800 years ago giving the same speech about the real world that Road is giving to a simulated world. This speech needs to be broken down by my man Sai. It's kind of funny that you say this because while I was reading Rodo's lines in this chapter, I was thinking of Emu. Like, would Emu be giving these same lines back in the day, or maybe to the Straw Hats when they get to the throne room? Because while Rodo was cosplaying as a villain, these lines do fit like the typical shonen villain trope, right? So I do wonder to what extent we will get this mimicked in the Void Century or just with Emu. So I think you're pretty on the money here. Like, if you just replace Roto with Emu, and instead of this being a simulated world, have it be real, like, this would be like an actual Emu speech, or maybe even a Doflamingo speech, right? Oh, look at all these people trying to escape and trying to escape fate itself. They're despicable, you know, despair. Like, Roto kind of cooked in a weird way, right? Roto wasn't that bad, and that's why I enjoy him. Like, he was actually a lot of fun to be with this chapter. Usopp is feeling anxious. He's finally in Elbaf, and he's just overwhelmed, but just wait. And then below, they say watch him leave the island with advanced observation Haki, self-confidence, and maybe even armament Haki too, so he can infuse his slingshot bullets with Haki and deal mad damage. The thing with Usopp learning armament Haki for his bullets, it's got me thinking, like, 90% of Usopp's attacks currently are all plant-based. They're all living creatures. So would Usopp be putting Haki on other living people? And is that even possible? Because we haven't seen that before, right? Like, where, like, you have Haki on your hand and you touch somebody else and give them Haki, because that's kind of what it would be like. So I don't know if Usopp could give most of his plants the Haki effect. So maybe he does go back to regular bullets or explosive stars. Like, even going to the bomb he uses in 1129, that is still a plant bomb. So I really do wonder how armament Haki would benefit Usopp, or at least what workarounds he would find, right? Because for Yasopp and Van Augur and any other sniper out there like Ben Beckman, right? Anybody who uses a gun or a pistol, they do shoot regular bullets from what we can tell, and they can coat it with armament Haki, or at least that's what Oda stated in Volume 4 Billion when talking about Ben Beckman. So for Usopp though, if he did get armament Haki, I wonder if he'd have to switch up his arsenal, or if he would just play around with it a little bit. I don't know. That's why I do like observation Haki more than armament, but of course, I don't think there's any problem with him getting both. I feel like the Straw Hats should have armament Haki. You know, I've been on that camp ever since post-time skip, but I do look at Franky and Robin and all these other characters, and I'm like, guys, how do we not have it? They have the willpower, they have the strength. I think the reason why we have a lot of characters on the crew that don't have basic armament Haki is simply because Oda really loves how diverse the cast is. Like Brook, for example, right? Yes, he could give Brook armament Haki, but Brook already has like this crazy musical arsenal. Usopp has his crazy plants, Franky has his machines, Nami has weather, Robin has a million hands. So maybe that's why Oda doesn't want to give everybody armament Haki. He doesn't want to homogenize them, and he wants to keep them all distinct from one another. But then again, armament Haki is like always just a bonus flat out. So I don't know. It's an interesting conversation when you bring that up. But either way, I do agree. Usopp is anxious. He is feeling overwhelmed. Even at the end of the chapter, he's hoping and praying it's Elbaf. We don't know where we're at. He seemed a little bit disheartened when Nami said, hey, we might not be there, right? We can't count our chickens until they hatch. And Usopp was kind of like, this has to be Elbaf. Come on, guys. Hopefully when we break this wall, it's there. So yeah, I'm really expecting a lot from Usopp, and I feel like once he shakes off the nerves or jitters, he will be phenomenal. Or at least he will be a character on this island that takes us on this adventure, right? Because Usopp, he's probably going to see some giant stuff and say, hey, can we go over there? Can we go over here? So yeah, I can totally see Usopp leading the charge here in the land of giants. Absolutely loved this chapter. It was so fun seeing Road-Roto completely underestimate the Straw Hats. I still don't understand it. I mean, I love the chapter, don't get me wrong, but I still don't understand how Road underestimates the Straw Hats. 3 billion berries, man! 3 billion berries! How do you look at that wanted poster and think he's a bum? I don't know. I don't know. Roto's interesting. I mean, hopefully this might be a hot take, but hopefully we see more of Roto moving forward so we can understand his character better, or at least know why he underestimated the Straw Hats so heavily. Maybe it's because he saw Buggy, right? Buggy, warlord turned Yonko. Maybe Road, since he worked for Hardin, who worked for Buggy, maybe he saw Buggy and he said, yo, this guy's worth how much? Okay, pirates are losers, man. It's just another puny human. Maybe that's why. Maybe his perception on humans has been skewed by really bad ones. Shanks! Shanks! His crew, his Grand Fleet, they're ass. The frog dude, the denture man, the little puffing princess. Like, yeah, maybe Rodo has only seen Shanks' Grand Fleet and was like, whoa, besides Shanks, they're all a bunch of bums. Maybe that's why he's so racist is the wrong word. He just doesn't like humans, which I guess would be a little bit racist. Huh. Salutations, Sai. I like this chapter, actually. It was pretty good. Also, I'm loving Elbaf Nami. I was concerned about the focus of individual Straw Hats in Elbaf, but thank God Nami got her moment. I'm sure Robin is going to get hers, but I want to see something for Brook, maybe soul-related. Not sure for Jinbe and Franky. This should be the point, as every chess piece is being moved. Things after Elbaf are going to be unimaginably chaotic. So, for Brook, I do think he will get something here, and this does tie back to chapter 15, 16 of One Piece, where Oda was talking about Vikings. And that's where we first got the hint that, you know, Luffy would get the same suit he has on now, that he'd have the axe and all that stuff. But yes, Oda has been a big fan of Vikings for a very long time, and that's simply because of the show Vicky the Viking. Oda said he was inspired by it, and that's why he wanted to write a story about pirates. How he went from Vikings to pirates, I have no idea. But one of the main things Oda said he liked about Vicky the Viking was that they were a jolly group of giants, or not giants, a jolly group of Vikings who always played music. And I was like, hey, music, Brook, right? I feel like Brook could learn some new songs here. And if this was the home of Sun God Nika, since Nika is an Elbaf fable, maybe we'll learn some of Sun God Nika's tunes, or maybe his, you know, his drum beats. And then Brook can mimic it or imitate it for Luffy. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Of course, that is complete headcanon and theory crafting. But yeah, I think Brook will get some music-related power-ups here on Elbaf. Kind of like how in film Red, Uta got taught musica and she sang the music and then she got insanely powerful and summoned a demon. Maybe Brook will get something like that, but of course to a lesser extent because Uta was completely broken. So yeah, there's Brook right there. As far as Franky goes, Franky has Lilith. Dude, the Lilith Vegapunk and Franky? Dude, if we see Kid here too, I mean, it's a wrap, right? Franky, Lilith, maybe Kid, and you know, maybe he'll just provide some metal or something. But yeah, I feel like Franky will be able to cook up a lot of things if we stay here for a prolonged period of time. And also, if Yggdrasil is the Atom Tree, Franky could upgrade the Sunny. Franky can get a lot here. Same with Brook, same with Robin because she has Saul. And then as far as Jinbe goes, oh my god, Jinbe, I don't really know. I'm gonna be honest, I've been racking my brain really hard as to how Jinbe would get a meaningful upgrade here. Or not even upgrade, but, you know, just some development. And I'm not too sure. Maybe Jinbe will vibe with the Giants because of their history. Since the Giants lived for so damn long, maybe one of them will tell us what happened 200 years ago. Because 200 years ago, Emmett, the ancient robot, attacked Marie Joie. And we learned that back in chapter 1067, after he attacked, that is when discrimination against fishmen became a really big issue in the world. And we don't exactly know how fishmen and Emmett's attack are correlated. So maybe one of the Giants, because they can live up to 300 years old, will know what happened and tell Jinbe about it. And then Jinbe can later tell King Neptune or, you know, the Prince Fukaboshi or one of them, and that could be a big thing later. Or maybe Jinbe just starts talking to the fish off the coast of Elbaf, and they're really damn big, so that's his takeaway. I don't know. Throwing things at a wall. We'll see what sticks, but if you guys have a better idea for Jinbe, let me know down below. In Skypiea, people were getting struck by a nail left and right and kept standing. If a giant can't get a strike from Zeus, then he is weak AF. Yeah, and here's the thing too, right? I believe Road is still standing, but I also believe that Road is done. After getting hit by Zeus, I highly doubt, I'd be shocked even, if Road said, nah, it's not over. The bell hasn't rung. If he still goes after the Straw Hats after this, in a hostile manner, that'd be crazy. I mean, that'd be like a Conqueror's Haki feat right there, right? My god, willpower going off the charts. Yeah, I think Road is going to be docile from here on out. I don't think he'll want to fight the Straw Hats anymore. And he should just be thankful that Zoro, Sanji, or Luffy didn't throw an attack his way. Brother, he would have been done. I mean, I hate to bring it up, I hate to be that guy, but in Dressrosa, we can't forget that Haruden, his captain, got taken out by a singular jet pistol. And then he went on to Extreme Diff Mac Vice. I mean, dude, these giants, they do not have the best track records. Of course, I do think Haruden is a lot more powerful now than he was back then. But either way, it happened, right? We can't erase the stat sheet. So if that is what happened to his captain back in Dressrosa, I highly doubt Road has the durability to handle any of the boys right now. So like I said, he should be thankful that he only got hit by Zeus. So, now on to the next comment. They say, Road is a serial kidnapper and Yamato is looking for a serial kidnapper in Wano. Coincidence? I think not. He even speaks like a Wano samurai. He probably has another room where he made a Wano flower capital replica to keep Wano people trapped. Huh, you know what? I think you're onto something. Of course, I do have a couple of small hangups about this though. Like one, the distance, right? Does this mean that Mugen can just fly all the way to Wano, pick people up, and then drag them all the way back? Like, I feel like that would be kind of a crazy feat for Mugen, which I don't know if he can actually do that. I feel like it'd be a lot easier for Mugen, his crow, to simply go off the coast of Elbaf and pick people up who are sleeping. Which, of course, I think is what has been happening because he brought back the Straw Hats in that manner, right? So I think his crow is just simply camping the Sleeping Mist area instead of going all the way to Wano. Another reason I'm not a big fan of this yet is because in Wano, so far, the only people that have gone missing are women and Minatomo. It seems very specific. They're not exactly going after your average Joe or just whoever they can pick up. It seems targeted in a sense, right? Women and Minatomo. And Minatomo is interesting because yes, he is a guy, an old man, but he's also a really skilled carpenter. So I feel like whoever's kidnapping those people, they're doing it with specific intentions. Whereas Road is simply playing dress up, right? And then as far as the kidnapping timeline goes, I don't think that would fit either, because this means that Road waited for Kaido to go down to start kidnapping people out of Wano, or they waited until after the Straw Hats left Wano to start picking people up. Where I think this might have been a hobby that's been going on for quite some time now. So I have a couple of hangups, but of course, you do have a second part to the theory that says he maybe has another room that is a replica of the Flower Capital, and I think that's pretty cool. I don't know, like maybe, right? Like right now, Road, he's using Wano terminology, but base level, Wano terminology is Japanese terminology. Like if you go to the Viz translations for this chapter, they do translate a lot of what Road said to otaku terms. Like he looks at Nami, and instead of saying Nami Tasso, he translates it to Nami, my Oshi, which, you know, is like my star. So I do think it's not typical Wano speak, it's more so just Japanese nerd speak. And then we also have to take into consideration how specific Road's cosplay is, right? Road is cosplaying as the sun god. He's the sun god of Elbaf. So if he were to go to the Wano replica set, who would he dress up as there, right? Like, would he change deities entirely? I don't think so. I think he's only replicating the sun god because Elbafians, which I just made that term up, Elbafians tend to like sun god Nika. So that's why I think Road is only limited to this Elbaf set, and he doesn't have a Wano set. I could be wrong. Like I said, I think it's still a really fun idea, but we'll see what happens. We need more information before we can really solidify this one. What's interesting about Road is that it might be Oda either commenting on creators or representing himself. He even said that his characters write themselves, and one of the reasons the pace slowed down in the series is because his characters would often demand for that. Paraphrasing, this could also be foreshadowing. A lot of people think that Oda could bring this story into real life, with Kaido saying that Luffy looks like something out of a storybook. Artur even has a theory that the One Piece is a comic book. From what we've seen, Imu was able to command the Mother Flame weapon by drawing an X on the map. It seems like there may have been a lot of hints pointing towards the possibility that everything was created by someone via drawing ever since Wano. Even in Wano, we had Kanjuro. It was even said Oda uses Legos to create dioramas of each island before it's in the manga. It all seems very intentional, and I do agree. It depends how far we take it for me. I could see Luffy, for example, fighting Imu or the final villain, and he breaks out of the manga panel, and he starts dancing around or fighting or punching people through pages even. I could see that being the case. But as far as like the One Piece being a comic book or papers, you know, controlling the world, I don't know yet. Emu maybe, with that one piece of paper that he has. Maybe that is how he activates the Mother Flame with the paintbrush. But I don't think it's going to be anything as grandiose as Men in Black, for example, where they pan out and then it turns out the whole story has been like a microcosm in and of itself, right? I don't think we're going to end One Piece and we're going to find out that One Piece has been just one big giant living comic book. I don't think that's going to be the case, but on a much smaller scope, I can see that happening. I think as far as Road goes, I think Oda's just having fun. You know, I feel like Oda is just going from a perspective that maybe he relates to, or maybe a perspective that he's seen before. And of course, it is like a common trope in, you know, animes where you have this one super mega nerd. And that's what Road is. He's a character that, oddly enough, hits really close to home. All right, so this comment says, it seems like Luffy has to take some control or accountability for his Grand Fleet. Maybe Hancock will need something to do, and she will be more than happy to be fleet commander under Luffy if he ever asked. Boa Hancock would be a slave driver. Bro, Boa Hancock? Great crewmate. But if you gave Boa Hancock Luffy's fleet, my god. She would make sure that they are cooking 24/7. She's going to make sure that they're over here plotting for world domination and fighting nonstop battles for Luffy's sake. I don't know about that one. But I do like the idea of Boa Hancock like coming in and playing some role. But, you know, getting back to the first part of it, yeah, Luffy does need to take accountability and responsibility. I think that's what Oda is going to focus on in this final saga, in this final stretch of Elbaf, because we've seen this before with Bartolomeo, right? Ever since Shanks beat Barto, people are kind of wondering how Luffy would react to that. You know, Barto was flying Luffy's flag. Would Luffy step up for Barto, or would he not because of Shanks? I feel like he has to. And then now we have another example of a Grand Fleet member kind of having their own story in a way with Road, right? Of course, Road isn't directly under Luffy, but he's under Hardin, who is under Luffy. So I think that as this arc goes on, we're going to get more and more updates about what the Grand Fleet has been up to this entire time. You know, maybe Luffy will hear about Leo and Sai and say, oh, they attacked a celestial dragon? Good on them. And then somehow, someway, we still have to rope in Orlumbus, Cavendish, Ideo and his group. I feel like this stretch of Elbaf will really focus on Luffy being solidified as a Yonko commander or a Yonko captain. I feel like we'll definitely get that, and maybe Oda foreshadowed this with Shanks, right? Shanks went off the coast of Elbaf, he fought Kid, and behind Shanks was his fleet. Shanks didn't ask for them to come, they simply came over here to Elbaf because that's where Shanks was at. Maybe that's what's gonna happen. Maybe after the Reverie, after the Straw Hat Siege of Egghead Island, and then after the Vegapunk broadcast, maybe the Grand Fleet want to know what Luffy wants them to do. They're like, hey Luffy, the world is getting really, really crazy, my man. What do we do? And they come here to Elbaf to get some insight. Of course, I don't know what Luffy would tell them to do, but hey, maybe they do come, because they all have a Vivre card telling them where Luffy is 24/7. So, maybe they all just line up and say, hey, he's on the land of giants, let's go. And if Hardin is here on Elbaf, he could also signal a call to the other Grand Fleet members. You know, maybe he has their Den Den Mushi numbers, and he's like, hey, Cavendish, you won't believe who's over here in my hometown. You should get over here, buddy. I could totally see that happening. And then they will have to tackle the Bartolomeo decision head first, right? Luffy, when faced with the Barto outcome, he might not know what to do, but imagine if the other Grand Fleet members are here, and they're like, hey, one of our Nakama got beat down. He's one of the guys who flies this flag with us. Luffy, you have to do something. And if Luffy doesn't do something, it would look really bad for the other pirates under him. Like, imagine you're working in an office, and all of a sudden you hear that your neighbor Jessica got gunned down. She's dead. She's dead. And as a boss, it's kind of like your responsibility to do something about that, right? Should you A, go fight the gunner, or B, just go about your day? Well, if you go about your day, the other office workers aren't gonna like that. So I think there is a chance that they come here and they ask Luffy to do something about it, right? Maybe they fight Shanks, or maybe Luffy has to disclose his relationship with Shanks. I feel like there are a lot of interesting routes in regards to the Grand Fleet. And honestly, I'm pretty excited for it, right? I want to see what Luffy's managerial skills are like, if that's how you want to put it. And now, I want to pass the question to you guys. What do you think is going to happen with the Grand Fleet? And also, who is your favorite Grand Fleet member? Mine is Orlumbus. Orlumbus, he's a weird guy. I mean, he has a whip. You know, he has 5,000 men somehow underneath him. And also, it's Christopher Columbus Day, I think, right? I think it's coming up here in America. It actually might be today. Wait. Yeah, guys, you won't believe it. Today's actually Christopher Columbus Day. And I'm over here shouting out Orlumbus the GOAT. But yeah, I remember there's one scene in Dressrosa that will always stick with me. And that's when Orlumbus picked up one of Doflamingo's guys. And he was like, hey, attention! And then like 5 Doflamingo underlings stood in a line. And then Orlumbus took the one guy in his hand and rolled him like a bowling ball. And he called it Orlumbus Bowling. Like it was some kind of named attack that he has in his arsenal. It's so stupid. And that is why I like Orlumbus. All right, so this comment's pretty funny. It says, the crow's last moments must have been wrought with, what the F have I done? Yeah, imagine like Zoro's about to land the final blow, and then the crow's like, bro, I brought these guys here. What did I do? Why did I do this? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I think it was Pawn Stars. There was an episode of Pawn Stars where somebody brought a live grenade, or it was a fake grenade, but they thought it was alive, and they brought it into the shop to sell. And then Rick Harrison was like, bruh, you brought a bomb in here? Like, what are you doing? Yeah, it's so funny, man. The comment below, they say Navigator versus Navigator. Yep, and Nami showed this bozo what the hell is up. She showed him who can cook up a better map. That brings us to the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really freaking appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I will catch you guys when 11:30 releases, when the spoilers come out and all that good stuff. And don't forget, after this, there is a 2-week break period. So keep that in mind. And I'll catch you guys later. My name is Sai, and I'm signing out. Peace.